Welcome back to Yvonne Winifred UG, my dear fashionistas. So let's just start right away. We are starting with this beautiful fabric. It is Ankara, and I've already folded it according to the largest measurement, which is the hip, like ×2 and more. So guys, I have the front and back folded together, and we are cutting everything at once. So I've folded up along the yard edge because this is Ankara. It is short when it comes to the width, so I just folded along the yard edge, and I'm working with a length of about 60 inches and allowances included. So as you've seen on top here, I've already marked the shoulder allowance of ½ inch, and now we are marking the shoulder allowance, dividing it by 2. So I mark 8½ inches. ½ inch is the joining allowance for the sleeves. So from up there, I go down by half the armhole measurement, which is 9 inches. I mark it, and that is the chest line, and whatever I have as the shoulder measurement, I mark it down here at the chest line, which is the 8½ inches. Then I join the 2 points, and then I come on top here and I take off 1 inch for the shoulder slant, because the shoulder is never straight, it's a little bit slanted. So now for the neckline, I want to use 3½ inches as the width for both front and back, and for the back width, the back depth, I'm working with 2 inches, and then the front I'm working with 5 inches because I won't have any zipper allowances or even button allowances. That's why I'm using 5 for the front. And for this size that I'm working with, it is a medium size. So I just use the round neckline as you've seen me doing, and then from the neckline I connect to the 1 inch shoulder slant like that. So from there I add ½ inch on top of that shoulder slant for the joining allowance at the shoulder. So moving on, whatever I've remained with at the armhole, depth here, I mark its midpoint, that is at 4 inches, having divided it by 2. Then from that midpoint I move in by ½ inch, and then I carve out the front armhole because it is always a little bit deeper inside, and then I connect to the top point like that, and from that midpoint again I just connect straight away to the chest line for the back armhole marking. So this is the front one, and the other one is the back. So now I just divide the bust measurement by 4, and whatever I get I mark it along this chest line. So make sure you add the allowance and also ease allowance if you want it, sewing allowance and the ease allowance. So for me here I just mark 10½, and the next measurement now I want is not the waistline, no hip line, but I'm going straight away to the hemline down below. So at the hemline, guys, I want to mark quarter of the hip measurement twice. So for the hip measurement I'm working with 42 inches, dividing it by 4, I have 10½ inches. So I'm going to mark 10½ and another 10½. If you have a fabric that is not Ankara, you can go as big as you want, or according to the person you're making the outfit for. So I just considered this entire width that I'm working with. So I marked quarter of the hip measurement twice. So guys, after there I connect from the bust where we marked down onto the hemline. So if you have a long ruler, you use it, but me, I used my tape measure as the guidance, and after I used my short ruler to connect the points and came out with this marking like that. So it is a one size fits all dress, and these are my markings afterwards. So it's kind of an A-line dress, it's a round dress. If you don't want a joining, that's what you do. So at the hemline, I moved up by half an inch and connected like that, and now I can start cutting, starting by the back markings first, guys, at the armhole and at the neckline, as you've seen me doing. So I cut it out, and afterwards I'll be cutting the front markings. So as I've been saying, it's a one size fits all. A small person can wear this dress, a medium person can wear this dress, and even somebody of, you know, bigger bums and bigger hips can wear this dress. So these are for the front markings, as you see. So after everything, that is the back and this is the front. So now, guys, we have to cut the sleeve. So I folded another piece of fabric, and the width is according to half of the armhole measurement, which is 9 inches plus 1 inch for the allowance. So I'm working with a length of about 12 inches, but you have to add the allowance. It will be gathered at the hemline, so you have to consider all that. So now I take off the cap's height. I used 4 inches. 3.5 is also fine, but I use 4 inches because it will be, you know, joined at the top. So after there, I take the half the armhole measurement, which is 9 inches, and 1 inch for the allowance. Then I draw a diagonal line, as you see, from the top here to our armhole measurement. That is half of it, because this fabric is folded, and along this diagonal line I get its midpoint, and from the midpoint I move up by half an inch, and I just connect from the apex here to the half an inch, and even to the width we are working with, and that is for the back. And for the front, I start from the apex onto the midpoint of the diagonal line, then down to the width of the to the armhole measurement that we are working with. So I use curves, as you see. It's not a straight line, it is a little bit curved. So there is a difference between the front and the back armhole. So I'm using this one sleeve, but I'll use it to cut the second sleeve. So for the width, I get the width around that part. So I mark it, it's about 6 inches. Then I add about 3 inches. Between 3 and 5 inches is okay, since we'll be using an elastic to gather up that hemline of the sleeve. So I connect these 2 points first with a straight line, but later on I just curve it a little bit. The sleeve is always not so straight like that, it's a little bit curved. So I curved by half an inch. Then afterwards I just cut it out. So I cut out the back marking first, guys, don't forget that. And then after I open it up, you're going to see, I just open it up and cut out this side of the front marking. They are different, so always remember that. So I'm going to use this sleeve, this one, to cut out another sleeve on another piece, and this is what I come up with: 2 sleeves like this. So this part will be gathered up by an elastic. So I also cut out some pockets. There are 4 pieces, 2 for each side, and the width is 8 inches and the length is 11 inches. That is seam allowances included. So guys, for my 2 pieces I cut some facings. As you see, I just duplicated the necklines and then cut the facings, and the length of the facings this time round is 4 inches. Is it the length or the width? I think you understand what I mean. So when it comes to sewing, I'll be joining my facing onto the main fabric by 1/2 inch, guys, for both front and back. And then after I'll join from there, and then I'll join along the shoulders front to back, and I'll join the sleeves onto the main dress. And then later I will mark around 2 inches away from the 2 inches away from the waistline, and then just pin down my pocket pieces like this on either sides of the dress, that is for front and back, so by 1/2 inch or even 1/4 inch, and I'll show you what next. So that is what I will do. That is for both front and back. So after all this sewing that I've talked about, this is what I have. This is the facing. The sleeves are also joined. These are the pockets after joining them onto the dress like that. So now I just have to join the sides, and to join the sides I'll start from the sleeves here. I'll join them together, match everything together, they have to align properly, and then I'll join by 1 inch that I left going down. So when I reach at the pocket, I won't go down straight, but I will come all around the pocket like this and go down. So I'll do the same even to the other side. Start from the sleeve, go down along the pocket like this, and then finish up. And after there, I'll just double fold the hemline and finish up the dress, guys, to have something like this. So this is the finished dress, and you can rock it with a belt if you don't want something free. And this is how it looks like with a belt. So I just made this for sale, guys. You can make it for sale. It saves fabric and it's a one size fits all. See you in my next video.